evening. This is Tabitha Komolafe. Reading with me is
Josephine Oluyole. Good evening.
Bringing you Newscope, our daily news program of in-depth report, interviews and commentaries. First, the highlight. Federal government opens military operations to media coverage.
Nigeria clarifies prisoner transfer pact with Ethiopia.
INEC assures voters of credibility in Ekiti governorship election.
35 killed as gunmen raid airport in Niger Republic.
And now the details. The federal government is considering a new initiative that would allow journalists to accompany military personnel during selected operations. This is a bid to improve security reporting and give the public greater insight into the realities of counterinsurgency and other internal security efforts. The Minister of Defense, General Christopher Musa, disclosed the plan at the National Security Summit organized by the Nigeria Union of Journalists in Abuja. Represented by Special Advisor Rear Admiral Oluyole Bankole, the minister said the proposed arrangement would foster closer collaboration between the media and security agencies while promoting transparency in military activities. Musa noted that the media plays a strategic role in shaping public perception of security operations and national stability, adding that security management now extends beyond conventional battlefields.
The federal government has said the transfer of sentenced persons agreement with Ethiopia aimed at repatriating incarcerated Nigerians is in line with the citizen diplomacy framework of President Bola Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Bianca Odumegu Ojoko, stated this in a statement issued today and signed by the Special Assistant on Communication and New Media in the Office of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Magnus Eze. She described the agreement as an important diplomatic milestone that prioritizes the welfare of Nigerians in the diaspora and reflects ongoing efforts to intervene in cases involving Nigerians facing difficulties abroad. The minister further dismissed a purported list circulating on various media platforms regarding the names and number of Nigerian inmates in Ethiopian prisons as fake, insisting that Nigeria does not have 136 inmates in the country. She also described some of the crimes attributed to the inmates in the circulating reports as unfounded, adding that the government is determined to bring the inmates home to serve their sentences with dignity and without being exposed to inhuman conditions.
Meanwhile, the federal government has assured Nigerians in South Africa that all citizens who have signified interest in returning home amid ongoing anti-migrant violence will be evacuated before the 30th of June. This is as the government warned that it may review options against South African businesses operating in Nigeria as the situation has taken a particularly troubling dimension. This was contained in a statement issued by the Special Assistant through the Minister of Foreign Affairs on Communication and New Media, Magnus Eze. The minister expressed concern over what she described as the unequal treatment of Nigerians relative to the significant presence of South African businesses operating freely in Nigeria. The minister said the President Tinubu administration remained committed to the safety and welfare of Nigerians abroad and would ensure that no citizen willing to return from South Africa was left behind.
As Ekiti State prepares for Saturday's governorship election, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has assured voters of its readiness to conduct a free, fair, and credible poll. The resident electoral commissioner REC in Ekiti State, Bumi Omosheyidemi, noted that INEC had resolved all logistical challenges and put adequate measures in place to ensure the timely deployment of personnel and election materials across the state. He also highlighted the close collaboration between INEC and security agencies through the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security (ICCAS), noting that the partnership is aimed at guaranteeing a peaceful and secured voting environment. The REC further disclosed that INEC result viewing portal IREV would be deployed by enabling real-time upload and public viewing of polling units results. In the same development, the Nigerian Police Force today said it has completed security deployments across all 2,545 polling units in Ekiti State. Commissioner of Police in charge of election security, CP Shogunle Abayomi, said a multi-layered security architecture had been adopted to guarantee a peaceful, credible and hitch-free election. No fewer than 13 political parties would participate in the state governorship election slated for tomorrow, Saturday.
Meanwhile, ahead of Saturday's by-election in the Rivers Southeast Senatorial District, the Rivers State Police Command has announced the restriction of human and vehicular movement in 7 local government areas of the state. The police also warned that anyone found violating the restriction order, engaging in acts capable of disrupting the electoral process or participating in any form of violence will be dealt with in line with the law. The election to be conducted by the INEC is to fill the vacant seat following the death of the former representative, Senator Barry Mbije, who passed away in February. In a statement issued today, the command spokesperson, Blessing Agabi, an assistant superintendent of police, said the restriction of movement will be in force from midnight on Friday, the 19th of June to 6 p.m. on Saturday, the 20th of June, the election day. Agabe noted that the restriction does not apply to accredited officials of INEC, security personnel on election duty, ambulance and other emergency service providers, including fire service personnel and other essential service providers.
Similarly, the Enugu state government has announced a restriction of movement across the 6 local government areas that make up the Enugu North Senatorial District ahead of Saturday's by-election. The Secretary to the State Government, Professor Chidiebere Onyea, disclosed this in a public service announcement issued today. According to him, the directive will apply across the 102 electoral wards in the Senatorial District. The government, however, exempted officials of the Independent National Electoral Commission, security personnel, accredited election observers, journalists, and other persons authorized to perform election-related duties from the restriction. It urged residents and eligible voters to conduct themselves peacefully and comply with electoral guidelines throughout the exercise. The government also called on political parties, candidates, and their supporters to remain law-abiding before, during, and after the poll.
In the meantime, the Bauchi State Independent Electoral Commission, BASIEC, has issued a 60-day notice for the conduct of local government council election scheduled for the 17th of August 2026. This is contained in a statement released by the Secretary of the Commission, Nuru Abdulhamid, today in Bauchi. He said the notice follows the provisions of the Bauchi State Electoral Law, which mandates it to notify political parties, stakeholders, and the general public ahead of the election. Abdulhamid recalled that the Commission had earlier issued a 360-day notice in August 2025 in line with legal requirement, providing sufficient time for political parties and other stakeholders to prepare for the electoral process. He advised political parties intending to participate in the election to conclude their internal preparations and ensure strict adherence to the electoral law and the Commission's guidelines.
Members, this broadcast of Newscope is coming to you from the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State, Ibadan. Members of staff of the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State, BCOS, have been admonished to always cooperate among themselves and portray the broadcasting station in good light. Executive Chairman of the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State, Mrs. Dr. Oluyole, gave this charge during a meeting alongside 2 board members with members of staff of the corporation at its premises. Staff reporter Bimbo Akambi presents the details.
The General Manager of the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State, Mrs. Taiwo Adibowale, had earlier explained the essence of the general meeting. It is a way to block communication gap between the employer and the employee. Chairman of the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State, Mrs. Dr. Oluyole, seized the opportunity to enlighten workers on the reasons of scattered salary payments among members of staff following alleged fake news being spread by some members of staff that the management was not being prudent. The chairman pointed out that the corporation had been doing its best to ensure that it stays on top, considering the present financial situation of the corporation. She added that in face of financial realities, the corporation's subvention was increased to a level while the corporation adds to it through its internally generated revenue, which has become difficult to totally achieve due to the economic situation of the country.
I tell you with all sense of responsibilities that pensioners take 28 million plus every month. Levels 1 to 8 in BCOS take over 22 million. Operational costs are there. Energy costs are there, which is, the energy cost is just a bit better than what we had before.
After the explanations, the chairman promised to block all loopholes and work hard to ensure that BCOS comes back to light.
I beg you, all the checks and balances, all the templates, keep them alive. Everybody become a commercial officer. You all go to churches and you all go to mosques. But I'm begging you, help your alma mater. This is your alma mater. Help your alma mater. Help BCOS to survive.
Some members of staff in their various remarks enjoined the chairman and board members to always make communication a key strategy in the line of duty. Two board members that accompanied the chairman was Prince Oluyole Akinbiyi and Honorable Akin Ajao Bimbo Akanbi, BCOS News.
The remains of the 7th President of Christ Apostolic Church, CAC Nigeria, and Overseer Pastor Abraham Akioshun has been laid to rest with a call on Nigerians by the incumbent CAC President, Pastor Samuel Oladele, to remain steadfast in their service to God and humanity for the sake of eternity. The funeral event commenced on Tuesday and ended on Friday with outing and Thanksgiving service at All Saints Chapel, CAC General Secretariat, Basharun, Ibadan. The report is presented by Oluyole.
That was the remains of the 7th CACS president, late Pastor Abraham Olukunle Akinosun, being lowered into the grave at the colorful burial service held at the deceased residence, Ifeoluwa Airport area, Alakia, Ibadan, and presided over by CAC President, Nigeria and Overseas, Pastor Samuel Olusegun Oladele. A short sermon preceded the burial from Pastor Aboderin, who extolled the virtues of the transited CAC President, late Pastor Abraham Olukunle Akinosun, urging the congregations to accept Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. At the outing and Thanksgiving service held at All Saints Chapel, CAC General Secretariat, Alugba, Basharun, Ibadan, the General Superintendent of Christ Apostolic Church, CAC, Pastor Emmanuel Odejobi, in a sermon called on the congregation to always remember that death is inevitable, charging them to serve God and also do good at all times.
For others to reap, and just like that, declare of his boldness, prayerful, cheerful giver, and so on and so forth.
In a chat with newsmen, the president of Christ Apostolic Church, CAC, Nigeria and Overseas, Pastor Samuel Olusegun Oladele, who said he had known the deceased in the past 53 years, described him as a genuine leader who was humble, kind, and deep in the knowledge of God, saying he will be greatly missed.
A man of humility, a man of simplicity, a man of the word, very unassuming yet very courageous, very bold. We are going to meet him. He's a man of many parts.
The CAC President, Nigeria and overseas advised the CAC members across the world to be focused in the service of God. The chairman, Burial Planning Committee, Pastor Gabriel Dada, expressed his delight over the burial program, which commenced on Tuesday, thanking the CAC authorities for their support, which he said contributed to the overall success of the event.
Man of authority, bold and ready, he sacrificed his time, his life for the church.
Some of those who spoke with BCOS News include the deceased first son, Pastor Taiwo Akinosun, family members and close associates in CAC, who said the deceased will be missed. Thank God for a fulfilled and glorious life in the service of God.
Humble, the man, have the spirit of humility. Some people believe Baba was a bold, courageous man. So to everyone, Baba, is whatever, to everybody is what
The CAC General Evangelist Ezekiah Oladeji led a special prayer for the Akinosun family, while guests were later entertained at private center in Ibadan. Late Pastor Abraham Olukunle Akinosun transited on 22nd March at the age of 81. Evangelist Bukola Akiade Shewele Jesu entertained the guests at the reception, while CAC National Choir was also not left out at the outing and Thanksgiving service held at the CAC General Secretariat, Ibadan. The burial program were attended by eminent personalities from far and near.
On the foreign scene, 35 people have been killed after gunmen struck Nigeria Republic's largest airport on Thursday. According to officials, this will be the second attack in less than 5 months in the capital, Niamey. Foreign desk editor Khadija Lawal compiled the story and others, as reported by Bimbo Akambi.
Residents in the predominantly Muslim country told the press they had just finished their morning prayers when explosions and gunshot sounds rang out from the Amani International Airport located in the capital city, Niamey. Niger's Defense Ministry said the fatalities comprised 22 assailants, 11 soldiers, and 2 civilians. On Thursday evening, Al-Qaeda affiliate Jama Nusrat al-Islam, while Muslimin said it had carried out the attacks. Niger has been fighting an Islamist insurgency for a decade. In January, an organization linked to the Islamic State group claimed responsibility for an attack on the same airport. Thursday's violence settled by mid-morning, and security forces have since launched a manhunt for any remaining attacker. Afghanistan has launched airstrikes on what it called hideouts used by armed groups and hostile intelligence circles inside Pakistan, Kabul, as announced. The strikes reported on Friday by Afghanistan's defense ministry were launched the previous day. The incident is the latest threat to the fragile ceasefire between the neighbors. Hostilities have broken out several times over recent months, killing hundreds of people, and mediators led by China who have so far failed to secure an agreement for a settled peace. The hideouts, located in Pakistan's Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa provinces, both of which share a border with Afghanistan, were targeted by the Air Force on Thursday night, Afghanistan's defense ministry said in a social media post. The ministry said that the bases have been allegedly used in cooperation with certain hostile intelligence circles to plan and organize attacks against Afghanistan, presumably referring to Pakistan intelligence. In the meantime, planned talks in Switzerland between the United States and Iran to discuss the technical terms of their ceasefire deal have been postponed. The Swiss Foreign Ministry confirmed early on Friday that the talks, which were scheduled to take place in Ludenstock, would not go ahead. The postponement has raised fears that the ceasefire deal signed by the US and Iran earlier this week could already unwind. Reports suggest that Iran has delayed sending its delegation to discuss the technical issues linked to the Memorandum of Understanding (MOU) on a ceasefire digitally signed by the two countries on Wednesday due to Israel's ongoing military campaign in Lebanon. Israeli attacks overnight and into Friday have reportedly killed at least 18 people in southern Lebanon, with Iran-linked Hezbollah reporting intense fighting. Iran, which has recently sensed Trump's enthusiasm to agree an end to a war increasingly unpopular in the US, has responded bullishly, declaring that Tehran had reservations even while nodding to the plan. Bimbo Akinbi, BCUS News.
To end this edition of Newscope, here again are the main points. The federal government is considering a new initiative that would allow journalists to accompany military personnel during selected operations.
The federal government has said the transfer of sentenced persons agreement with Ethiopia aimed at repatriating incarcerated Nigerians is in line with the citizen diplomacy framework of President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda.
As Ekiti State prepares for Saturday's governorship election, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has assured voters of its readiness to conduct a free, fair and credible poll.
And on the foreign scene, 35 people have been killed after gunmen struck Niger Republic's largest airport.
If you see something suspicious, alert the authorities immediately for timely response. Be vigilant. That's all from Newscope Desk for now. It was packaged by Mary Adedapo and delivered by
Josephine Oluwabome. Good evening.
And Tabitha Komolafe. Thanks for listening, and do not forget to tune in for the Yoruba version at 8 p.m. Good evening.
Hello, children. Kiddies Challenge is the program on Oluyole FM 98.5 every Saturday from
11 a.m. to 12 noon.
It's engaging, engrossing, and enriching. Let's come together to relax and bring out the exceptional academic and socio-cultural skills.
Yes,
Kiddies Challenge. It's exceptional.
Yara! Yorùbá bọ̀ wọ́n ní kárìn kápọ̀ yíyẹ ní yẹni ṣé bẹ́ẹ̀ ló tún rí lóde